Week 6 in the books, so we have more brackets to talk about, updates. But the big thing we're going to do this week and going forward is we're going to do a power ranking segment. I'm going to keep up with it as best that I can. I am getting a lot of help thanks to Potato 26 and Tom John Mike and a committee of people. That's what I'm calling it. We had 9 other people who I reached out to, and I asked, will you look at one of the other conferences and give me your power rankings 1 through 12? We chose the Ivy League because the Ivy League is super active. They deserve it. We're going to go through those power rankings here in a bit. I brought back the old template that's pretty robust. It's pretty in depth. I have a write up for every team. We have analysis of all their current scoring and their max and their efficiency and their draft capital and a picture of their roster, top 9 guys, best 5 bench players, records, tournament results, the works. So I think it's going to be really neat. I want you to go to the comments on YouTube and tell me what conference to do next. I have the next one lined up because it's mine and I selfishly want to do mine. But after that, I think I'll just probably take one per video and say whichever conference comments the most on YouTube, that's what I'll do next. I'm not trying to get YouTube famous. There's like 3 people who watch these videos. But that's just a fun way to have some kind of interaction. It lets me know people are watching. So if you want to do this after you see the product, the power rankings, go to the comments, put something in there telling me which conference you want to see. It doesn't have to be your conference, just whichever one you want to look at. So real quick before we get there, we're going to go over quickly this week, not like crazy in depth. This is the SKI Champs bracket that I have on the screen. Liberty number 1 goes down to North Carolina, who I think I besmirched at some point in the bracket as probably not going to beat Liberty. Well, there they are. Now they're now number 6 in the country, number 6 in points, number 5 in max. Go Scotty Diesel. He's now facing number 4, freshly minted number 4, the Real Guap, UCF, who beat Princeton, handing them their first loss of the season, I believe. In fact, both of these teams handing their opponent the first loss of the season. So 2 upsets. Now we have number 6 versus number 4, though those were originally 17 and 8 seeds. So pretty neat. Here we have, I guess I'm leaving this kind of small, aren't I? I can zoom in a little bit. That's probably a little bit better. Here's a look at the actual numbers for these 2 teams that are remaining up top. So UCF is number 4 despite being not top 20 in anything. Their team's really good though. Obviously, not a shot at you, sir. You're doing great. Scotty Diesel's, power seems to be there. The points, the average, the max rather. Let's take a look down here. Bowling Green ends the mid-major run for Delaware. I don't actually have the scores on here. That's my bad. They are on the original document. Bowling Green now 10-1, number 7 in the country, will take on Colgate after a series of IV, taking each other out, right? Penn takes out Yale, both Ivy. Then Colgate takes out Penn, both Ivy. So now we've got number 12, Colgate. Must have lost in conference, I'm guessing, because they did win this matchup, but they dropped in ranking. So we've got Bowling Green versus Colgate, 2 really good teams, similar in numbers. Bowling Green has a little bit more firepower and a little better efficiency, so they probably get the nod. We'll talk more about Colgate later in the video. Taking a look at the other side of the bracket, Kent State is back on top. They were number 4 after they beat Iowa State. They are number 5 in points, number 7 in max, 25 in efficiency. They're doing very well. Hawaii gets the win over the Ball State Cardinals. Top 10 win, but it doesn't boost their ranking. They're still number 5, the second highest max in the country. So I don't favor Kent State. I think I'm favoring Hawaii to get through that. They're generating so many points. Obviously, Kent State is as well. But the Cinderella story of the tournament now, the 19th seed, Rice. They are not top 60 in anything, and yet they beat the number 2 Davidson Wildcats, who I think I had proclaimed as the favorite if I had to pick a team last week. So go Rice. Crispy Chicken keeps going. No one can stop him. Colorado will be the next one to try. They are number 9 in points, number 6 in max, but only 81% and 81 rank in efficiency. So these two teams really are not in the same class. Again, I will disrespect a crispy chicken. It's not personal. But when I look at the numbers here, Colorado should win this easily. But this is the beauty of tournaments, and that's why we all love college basketball, right? So there's your final 8. I also have the mid-majors broken down in a similar fashion. We're going to run through that. Now that we're in the Sweet 16, I think we can spend a little bit more time here. Then we'll get to the power rankings. So Liberty lost in the SKI champs, very much still alive in the mid-major mayhem. They are the number 1 seed for mid-majors, and now they're facing a Cinderella story of sorts, Santa Clara, who is 153rd in max points, and yet they have defeated 2 consecutive opponents, and so here they are in the Sweet 16. They are generating 144 points less than Liberty. Liberty's probably coming through that one. We've got number 24 in the country, Hampton, go Coastal, taking on the Towson Tigers, go Coastal. Hampton favored pretty significantly here. They are the number 35 in terms of their firepower, and Towson dealing with a lot of injuries, I happen to know, since I'm in the conference. 139th, pretty big mismatch there, I would say. Hampton should come through that, but it's tournament time. You never know. Number 1 seed of another quadrant here, Delaware, fresh off of a loss in the SKI champs, facing the USI Screaming Eagles, who I believe are still incorrectly named in conference as the SUI Screaming Eagles. Got to fix that, man. They actually generate a really similar number of points. The efficiency is the only real differentiator here. So even though you would look at Delaware, look at the rankings, and say they're probably a shoe-in to win, the firepower really separated by 10 points. All we need is one efficient week here, one inefficient week here, and we could see an upset. And then at the bottom of the bracket here, NC State go Coastal. NC State A&T. Sorry, NC A&T State. My apologies. Long Beach State cannot be happy to see this because they are scoring an equal number of points and they have an equal max. And NC A&T State actually has better efficiency. NC A&T State is probably one of the most slept on teams in the mid-majors. They are very much a win-now team, I happen to know, because they're in the Coastal. I would not be shocked at all. They're on a roll. They scored 473. I think the week before this, they also scored like 450. So this team can put up a lot of points. They would have, frankly, wiped the floor with Long Beach last week. So not that I'm rooting for you in particular, but it would not shock me to see NC A&T State pull the upset there. Let's take a look at the other side of the bracket. Here I am as a number 1 seed in my quadrant, and I am looking really strong to go into the Elite 8 after a really, really good start. Just some extra context for you. I had a really close matchup, though, with UTEP. Indiana State has been rolling, 402 and then 453. But, yeah, it does look like I'm probably going to advance this week and end the run for Indiana State. Pacific Tigers, number 17, versus Western Kentucky, number 20, awaits probably me. So this is a pretty high-loaded section of the bracket. These two guys, I haven't checked on the matchup, but 10-2 versus 11-1, pretty awesome in the Sweet 16. We already get such a high-quality matchup. Pretty unlucky if you're them. We're going to go down now to Florida Gulf Coast and Sam Houston State. Florida Gulf Coast, a bit of an underdog here, a 9 seed, came in and took out the number 1 commissioner, Stonehill Skyhawks. Didn't win by much. Hasn't topped 380 in these first 2 weeks. So Sam Houston has an opportunity, but they really haven't scored a lot either. So they took out. He was the highest ranked team. Anyway, it's wide open right here, and then the winner likely will play Presbyterian, as they have been significantly better than Gonzaga when you look at the numbers. But anything can happen in tournament time. So that is the look at your mid-major mayhem with a little bit more detail on the points. So now let's get to the fun thing, what I hope will be a fun thing. Let's talk through power rankings for the Ivy League. So before we actually get to the power rankings, I want to share this kind of part that I've been doing on the side to kind of get the data in place to support something like this. So this is just the sheet that I'm using currently to house all of the data, which then populates these power ranking sheets, which I plan to do for every conference. So we've got some basic team info, rankings data, team points, records, power rank data. We've got roster data pertaining specifically to the people on your team and their stats, tournament results, and then draft capital is another thing that I'm working on right now. So there's a lot of love going into these. If you are not happy with your power rank, sorry. Just to explain briefly how it's going to work, I asked people to participate. They ranked the Ivy, 9 of them, and I was not part of that scoring. So there's going to be a ranking based on what the committee thought, averaged out. These are 1 through 12, the Ivy teams. Then I also included my own personal rank. And power rankings, it's really subjective, so I'm not going to claim that my rankings are right. Power rankings really are just in the eye of the beholder. One, people's opinions are really different. Obviously, that's how trades happen. You think something is good over here, they think something's good over there, you swap. I personally, when I think about power rankings, the number one thing I think about, just me, which team would I like to take over? It isn't just about right now, but you can't discount winning right now either. That's fun. I want to win if I'm going to play. So I think you need to consider both things. Considering a team that has no draft capital, taking that team over limits your flexibility. You aren't as able to take advantage of buying and selling opportunities if you don't feel like you can build into the future. There's all kinds of factors. This is why it's a fun exercise, I think. So I may differ. I did differ from the committee results, and I think it'd be fun to kind of talk through those things. So let's get into it. I'm going to pause so I can make sure I'm starting at the bottom, and then we'll work our way up to number 1. All right, so I haven't really thought too much about the formatting of this. I'm really short on time today as well. Sorry the video's a little bit late. Family vacation takes priority. This is what the template looks like. I'm afraid that you won't be able to really read it on the video. I will make this available so that if you want to actually look through these yourself, you can. That said, I am about to read off the outlook that I wrote for each team and kind of talk through really quick, as quickly as I think is reasonable. We're going to talk through each team, what the committee ranked them, what I ranked them, and we're starting at number 12. So again, none of this is personal. It's all just based on numbers for me. Everyone has differences of opinion. I don't think you suck if I think you're 12. For example, Drew Lock, fan 3, no hard feelings. I think your Navy squad has some work to do, and so you looked like 12 to me. If I have to pick someone for every rank, again, not personal. But let's talk through it. So Navy is going to be number 12 out of 12. When you put their 9 best players together, they average about 370. That's going to be on the low end for any power conference team. The efficiency has been poor. The max and the points generated are both bottom 20 in the entire league. That includes mid-majors. So the firepower just isn't there. What I wrote here is that it highlights the stark contrast between Power 10 and mid-major to say that the worst team in the Ivy has a core of LaMelo, Ant, and Booker and surplus draft capital, but the committee and I agreed that is so. There is little depth and a lot of score-only leaning players, which are volatile in our format. And by that I mean you've got, and don't try to like show me screenshots to say how wrong I am. It's not a big deal. I'm just saying Kelly Oubre, Michael Porter, Naz Reid, Norm Powell, these guys can end up with 25 points and 3, 4 of everything else or less. That just makes you kind of volatile in our league. When one night you may not score 30, then all of a sudden you're only giving 20 points. I see a lot of that in this team. So were relegation not in play, I may advocate for a complete teardown, which is not an enviable position for Drew Lock Fan 3 and Navy. If he can avoid the cellar, I hope he trades out of the middle-aged guys to a hungry group of contenders who would love a 9th or 10th guy like a Norman Powell, like a Naz Reid. So there's number 12. I'm just going to scroll up and reformat as needed. Number 11 is Lafayette, currently unowned. The commissioner is updating this team, and he's doing a hell of a job because they are eighth in efficiency, which is just comical. The core here, Peyton Pritchard is the best point guard on the roster. I mean, you could say Darius Garland, but right now, point wise, Peyton Pritchard better than Darius Garland. Cade, Jason Tatum, Lauri Markkanen, Edie. The max points has been really low. The actual points themselves have been high because of that great efficiency. Haven't made any trades, won't make any trades. I believe the commissioner is holding this team over until the offseason. And I don't know what that will look like. Maybe this team gets relegated regardless of where they finish because there's no owner. Relegated, I say, as in like there's an opening created, one of the mid majors who earns it comes up, and no one gets relegated. Don't know. Maybe that's how it works. It would be cool in some ways, so that no one has to lose their spot. But if you finish last to a team that isn't actively trying to get any better, you might deserve to be relegated. I don't know. You could probably talk yourself into either way. The recap, I said, in a perfect world, this team without an owner would be the one to get relegated. It may happen, too, as Lafayette boasts one of the worst rosters in the Ivy. That said, when a proud mid-major coach gets promoted to the big leagues and sees Cade, Tatum, Lowry, Edie, Garland, Asar, Vassell, and probably a top 3 2026 draft pick, let's at least say like it could be worse when you're taking over from a team that's getting relegated. Amazing efficiency from the commissioner is keeping them out of the bottom for now, but hopefully we'll see them dip before the end. Not going to spend much more time on this. No one owns this team. Oh, you know what? I didn't say. We both, the committee and I agreed Navy was number 12. The committee had Lafayette at 11. This is ordered by the committee. I had Lafayette at 10, and I personally had Dartmouth below them. The committee had Dartmouth at 10. So I was slightly lower than the committee here. Let me just read the recap and get started. So Jose, the owner, Jose Alvarado, he took a lot of heat this week after trading Jokic, Ja, and Jaylen Brown for Chet, Jamal Murray, Ware, Klingon, 2 firsts and 2 seconds. So without passing judgment on the trades myself, the roster is left with an alarming lack of talent for 25-26, and relegation could be on the table if no other moves are made, or if there are more selling moves. It's a risky game to play, but if Dartmouth could stay one slot up on last so that they don't get relegated, and go all in on a rebuild, Jamal, Brunson, Keegan, and Pirtle could all find new homes and this team could lead all of the mesh in draft capital. It doesn't seem like winning now is the goal, and so I have to assume that we're going to see more sales before it's all said and done. Yeah, there just isn't a lot of firepower here. There isn't a player who averages 50. You got a couple who are close, but the fourth highest scoring guy is 42. So it's pretty low. The numbers kind of show that, and that was with Jokic for most of the season. So I think this team should probably play for the future as long as they don't get relegated in the process. Tough line to walk if you are a struggling power conference team. This was the biggest disagreement I had with the committee. American, the Eagles, your mom's favorite coach, the ever popular your mom's favorite coach. The committee had this team ranked at 9. I had this team ranked at 7. And I think, let me just read the outlook. The committee ranked American at 9, and I get the spirit behind that. This team is old as hell and injury prone, but I just can't convince myself that I'd rather be Yale or Brown. You play to win games, and American flat out has more talent than those teams. Even when you bake in a couple injuries, you're still looking at a team that can score 410 to 440 without needing that much to break right. Give me the team that can beat anyone any given week. There's no doubt that this is a short-term play. In 3 years, this could be a disaster. But if they turn around the efficiency and you caught them fully healthy in round 1 of March Madness, you'd be cursing your bad luck. So just in case you can't see, this roster is De'Aaron Fox, Kyrie, Kawhi, AD, Sabonis, Curry, Butler, Embiid, Ryan Rollins, and then PJ Washington, Gordon, Paul George, Jeremy Grant, AJ Mitchell on the bench. Like, that's a good team. That is not the 9th best team in a conference to me. I understand the injury risk, and the chances of that roster being healthy at one time are like minuscule. I get it. But there are like 7 dudes who could score 70. So, frankly, 9th is too low. The efficiency has been terrible, like bottom 20 in the league. That if that ticks up, this guy he's not a dummy, man. I know this guy. He's gonna turn that efficiency number around. Um, I think that there's better things, better days ahead. I wouldn't be tearing it down if you're American. Bucknell came in next from the committee. I also thought Bucknell was rated too low. So shout out to Potato, who helps me a lot with the data. Here's the recap. I'd stop short of saying I'm planting my flag on Bucknell to come back, but this doesn't feel like a 3-7 team to me. There's only one superstar, which is Shengun, but guys 2 to 8 all feel like good players. I know Kessler's out for the year, I get that, and it hurts them in 25-26, but this team has a lot of draft capital and still has real pieces. At the least, I think they have a lot of flexibility. Knowing that 25-26 is not like their year should allow them to play a role to either buy or sell when value presents itself. I think we have reason to suspect that Bucknell will still have success in the Ivy in the coming years, and I would choose this team over Brown and Yale if I had to take one of the three. Not hating on Brown or Yale in particular, but I think that the committee's sleeping on this a little bit. Also, dreadful efficiency. We have the 58th best max points here. This is a tournament level team in terms of firepower. The picks have just been the fifth worst in the league. That is likely to go towards the middle. And frankly, I just think that the talent on the team is pretty good. There's already a surplus of draft capital, which you could easily leverage to buy back in if you choose. I like that Bucknell has some options personally. Next is Yale. The committee had them at 7. I had them at 9. Here's the description. We get thin really fast with this roster, which is my biggest problem with it. Some early season success, including a shocking run to the SKI champs, may have the committee higher on Yale than me, but I see a team that's overperforming and still not that dangerous. It sounds good to have a big points jump, but when it leaves you with an average of 384 points across your starting 9, it almost makes me feel negatively. So points jump is the difference in what your players are scoring on average last year compared to this year. A positive points jump means that your players are scoring more this year per game than they did last year. So he has a great points jump, 56 points. So when you look at his starting 9, his 9 highest averaging players, they are scoring 56 more points collectively this year than they did last year. That's amazing. That's probably a top 25 number in the country. I haven't done this for all the teams yet, so I don't know. That's probably a top 25 number, and yet it almost makes me feel bad because they're way outperforming where you drafted them, and you're still only scoring 384 if they all hit their averages. His actual average is 360. That's 111th in the league. But you can't expect these guys to do way more. Like, you're already getting the maximum out of them. They're scoring 56 more points than last year. What I wrote in the column was, I guess I should finish reading it. It sounds good to have a big points jump, but when it leaves you with an average of 384, it almost makes me feel negatively. I already said that. How much more can you hope to get out of these guys when they've already made a leap? Can a group of 9 guys who are collectively averaging 56 more points than they did last year possibly crank that up to 100? Because that's what it would take for Yale to be at a competitive point total. And frankly, that's just not possible. That would mean every single one of these players needs to start scoring 11 more points than they did last year. I mean, the outliers here are Castle, huge uptick. Jaquez, huge uptick. Sarr, huge uptick. Grayson Allen, huge uptick. Nurkic, because of the role, pretty big uptick. The only players who are really down are RJ Barrett, barely Miles Bridges. But these players aren't going to then take it to a whole nother level, I doubt. And so we're left with kind of a middling to low scoring average team. The draft capital is a little bit better than your standard. He has an extra pick or 2 in there somewhere. But I had to pick someone for 9th, and this was the team that kind of stuck out to me. Brown is next for the committee. They ranked them 6. I had them 8. My write-up here. When healthy, the starting 5 is awesome. It's an elite core. That would be Halliburton, Flagg, Jalen Johnson, Cat, and Mobley. Hartenstein is not a bad 6th best player either. The problems, for me, begin after that when you need IQ, Wendell Carter, and Anthony Black to perform in order to get wins. That would be the 7th, 8th, and 9th best player by average score. Not every team can have great depth, but for 4 of the top 5 bench guys to be averaging less than 27 is scary. Only one other team in the Ivy has more than 2 guys under 27 in their top 5 bench. That would be Lafayette with 3, who isn't even looking for bench guys. They have all their own picks, but they're going to be woefully stuck in the middle of the pack, in my estimation. They probably won't make March Madness, nor end up with a great draft pick. I would suggest deciding to buy or sell and leaning in. That reminds me of my Dallas Mavericks for the last decade in between the title and getting Luka. Just floating in the middle, never actually picking a side, and the fans didn't like it. Columbia. The committee ranked them 5. I ranked them 4. I love Columbia. It's a team I'm rooting for. They're not about to win the national championship this year, but I'm rooting for you, Columbia. Go Cody. Here's my write-up. I'm quite excited about the Lions' future. A young, healthy team that is getting plenty of minutes and taking a huge collective leap forward so far this season. This feels like a team that will surely frustrate the favorite in round 1 of March Madness. You know, when they look down and they look at the other team and they're like, this is my round 1 opponent. Power rankings are really subjective things, but when I see Maxey, Barnes, Giddey, Keyshawn George, I guess that's Keyshawn, I don't know, Kevin Porter, Derek Queen, and Dylan Harper on the same team, I want shares of that stock now before we look up and see a top 20 team. Perhaps they're all overperforming. It is a 70-point points jump, and I know I just kind of said points jump was almost a bad thing for the last team, but I can be a little hypocritical. It's my power rankings. And there are some efficiency issues here. They're 132nd in the league in efficiency. But I just can't help but go against the committee here and give them number 4. I really think that this team is going to be really good in a couple years. They did spend a little bit of their draft capital, so they're a little depleted there. I don't believe they have a first anymore in 26, but they hit on a lot of these draft picks, in my estimation. I'm pretty excited about them. No offense to you, Penn, KJ Evans. I had you at 5. The committee had you at 4. Here's the write-up. Athletes don't seem to slow down after 30 like they used to. That said, seeing Mitchell, 29, Durant, 37, Randall and White, 31, Porzingis, 30, and Gobert, 31, in the starting lineup takes something away from the Quakers for me. Despite the age, they are a relatively healthy group, so perhaps it shouldn't matter. It didn't to the committee, who put them at 4. I like that they have several quality bench options, but I don't feel like the top end of this team will be enough to sustain a deep run in March. The top 3 players here combine for 153.5 points roughly, which compares unfavorably to the other top 5 Ivy teams. It's a good team, but I would not call them a lock for March Madness just yet. They are good. 32 in points, 48 in max, 35 in efficiency. They certainly could make March Madness. You probably would say they probably will, but I'm not locking that in yet. I feel like one big injury to that top 5, and you could see a real decline. Paolo's already been hurt, so I guess 2 maybe. Number 3, Princeton. I suppose I should have built up the drama a little bit more. It was sort of a 3-headed. Who's going to be number 1? There's 3 elite teams in this conference. Big tier break. No offense to all of you other teams, but big tier break in between number 4 and number 3. I had considered all 3 of these teams for number 1. Had to make choices, like you have to in power rankings. Here's the write-up. Top 20 in points, max, and efficiency, Princeton could very well be the number 1 team in a less top-heavy conference. Hell, they are the number 1 team in the Ivy as of today, the number 8 national seed with a 10-1 record, with the only loss coming via the SKI Champs bracket. So no disrespect intended, but I think Colgate and Harvard currently have the higher ceiling, and it seems the committee agreed. LeBron's health may be a question. Luka always seems to have a nagging injury, and Deontay is out, but the average games played from this team is actually very high. So expect this team to be contending for the Ivy crown and being favored in the first round of March Madness, and perhaps being favored even in the second round of March Madness. Very good team, very good owner, very vocal owner, and yeah. So now drum roll please. I guess when I show you number 2, you will be able to infer number 1. And let me say, we agreed, the committee and I agreed, number 3 for Princeton. However, the committee and I did not agree on number 2 and number 1. The committee says that the Harvard Crimson are number 2. I say that they are number one. But this is the fun of power rankings. So let me read the description. So Jay Torres, 123's Harvard squad only loss came in round one of the SKI to a mid-major team. Gasp. That mid-major team then went on to be the number one team in the league, Liberty. As far as quality losses go, that's a solid one. The committee had Harvard at number two, but I look at the edge in draft capital, higher quality bench, and significantly better efficiency, sixth in the country. And I think I'd place my bet on Harvard to win the Ivy, though it's close. The Max isn't top tier right now, so the efficiency must remain high. The team age is misleading, as Harden and Vooch really bring down the average. Their average age is 27.7, which is a little bit on the lower half of teams. That said, the team carries a lot of injury risk, and so we will see if they are 100% for March Madness. My money says that Harvard will be the best team in the Ivy this year. Number one, though, don't think I meant to color that thing black. The Colgate Raiders. They just acquired Ja and Jokic. They now have Giannis and Jokic. I don't know how many teams have two of the big four, but this might be the only one. Whether you call the big four or five, like whatever, I don't know who exactly those guys are, but I'm thinking of Giannis, Luka, Wemby, and Jokic. Here's the write-up. Let's start with the obvious. Colgate has Jokic and Giannis. There will be weeks where that alone gets you the W. The committee voted Colgate number one, but you could nitpick about the 74th ranked efficiency if you wanted to find a flaw. There is a massive week-to-week upside here, especially when and if Ice Tray and Ja get things together. Already 10-1 and still in the running to win the SKI champs, Colgate could be a legitimate national championship contender with a boost in efficiency. Gray '08 has dealt away most of his draft capital and would likely need to sell his youth to add talent via trade from here. This is another reason why I had Harvard, is just because I feel like they have a little bit more to sell. Their bench is a little bit better, and they have a little bit more draft capital. So both of these guys like to trade. I have played in multiple leagues with both of them, with all three of the big three in the Ivy. Hell, I've played with like everyone in the Ivy. But anyways, great team. Ja, Reeves, Amon Thompson, Giannis, Jokic, Trae Young, Edgecombe, Zubac, Shaden Sharp, Keel Alexander Walker. That's a really, really good team. But 25th in points, 24th in max doesn't strike fear into the heart of every team, I'm sure. But Jokic just joined the team. These numbers will probably go up. They definitely will go up. It's Jokic. So we actually did the power rankings, had to go back and undo them because of the Jokic trade and the Jaylen Brown trade. There was another trade that went to Harvard. So anyway, this was really fun for me. The template's built now. I should be able to replicate this pretty quickly for other conferences. I mean, that's a relative term. This was not a quick process. So this is a labor of love. Hopefully you liked it. I am going to do the Coastal next because that's where I am and I just want to. Other than that, I said at the beginning, if you comment in the YouTube comment section, tell me which conference to do, whichever one has the most. I'll do that one next. I might do the next two because I'd love to do two of these a week and probably go a little less deep, but I'm going to share these things as well. So it might not be tonight, but I will share the documents so that you'll be able to view it if you are curious. I didn't go over like top 25 teams. Look at the website. I think that might have been getting stale going through those. The tournaments are kind of like the name of the game right now. I'm going to go over the invitational tournaments once we actually get to the championship round next week, probably. Maybe even the week after, honestly. I don't want these all to be 45 minutes long. And if I do two power rankings, videos are going to get really long. So I'm figuring it out as I go. But yeah, let me know if you like this. Any suggestions you have on any content for these videos, go ahead. Doing a conference look like this was a suggestion. So thanks for that. Shout out Potato again. Let me know. You want to see something like this? I will do what I can to try to make it happen.